The school was what used to be the nurses, I don't know, it was one of the hospital facilities, whether it was the nurses' sick bay or something like that. I think that's what it was. It was opposite the bowling green, which was a pub. So, and the nurses' home was opposite. I think it was the old nurses' home area. The facilities were, now I realise how limited they were, but at the time that was what we were shown and that's what we dealt with. There was the men's department. There was a room for men. First of all, on the left, when you went in, there was the electrical department. That was electrotherapy, taught by Miss Enid Gott. She's a very good teacher. She had a scientific mind, which was more than a lot of us had. It was the school I went to. Science was not one of the subjects. It wasn't regarded then as a necessary thing to have. Desirable perhaps, but not necessary. Other things took their place. It was a little bit ironic because later on I had to teach science. I had to teach electricity and magnetism in England. And I wasn't entirely bereft of science in a way because my brothers were very interested in science and they had set up a laboratory in our home in the garage and I was roped in to be their assistant. And mainly bottle washing, I think, and that sort of thing, but I was sometimes used as an experiment and I realised that hydrogen, if you put a flame to it, exploded. I had my eyebrows singed off by that sort of thing. And I used to see all the labels of these bottles on the high shelf, and so I knew a lot of the formulas. They weren't a foreign language to me, the way this sort of apparatus is a foreign language to me. So that was all right. I was capable of appearing more confident and knowledgeable than I was. After that was Mr. Whedon's room. And all the ones, the men who were considered not to be quite acceptable to the students in terms of, I don't know, Miss Roberts drafted them in there, and some were Mr. Whedon's patients, and that was it. On the other side, as you came in the door, was Miss Roberts' office. That was quite a tiny little room, and then after that was the consulting room, and that was where the actual administration, management affairs took place, and where the staff had morning tea every morning together, which was sent over in a plate from the kitchen. So we students had our own little place. I think it was a garage actually, to the right as you go in, and one of them was told off to take the plate away, and any scones left, well, we ate them. There was an area between the garage and the back of the nurses, the consulting room, where there was a little bit of grass, and if the staff wanted to have a quiet chat with somebody or other, they perhaps retired behind there. That happened to me once when they wanted to talk to me about something. So the layout was very basic in terms of what is possible now, or even desirable or essential. Through the back of this area, you went through a narrow corridor into another little room, which was a staff cloakroom. There was also, within that layout, there was the actinotherapy department, and we were always instructed of the need to wear glasses. It was one of the essentials, eye protection. And we, the students, were rostered on for periods to go in there and assist with whoever the charge person was involved. Yeah, women's massage. That was just beyond the consulting room on the right. Before clinics, we used to, that's right, there were folding doors which we used when it was necessary for the clinician to do his examination reports. And Miss Roberts or Miss Scott's, or later on I went with them and took the instructions. This is very trivial. It wasn't at the time, actually, because every year when the student input came, they were told to see who would be their representative. And I thought they would, either from the current year that was coming in, the new intake, or the one before, because the ones who didn't pass the year before, they had an opportunity to, they had to do another period before they could again sit for registration. There were a couple, 2 or 3 of those in our intake, and we felt, well, I assumed that they were the ones who would take all our concerns, if we had any, to the head of the particular department involved. But no, they asked me if I would. I'm not sure why, so I said all right. The same thing happened at school, bothered if I know why.